Hello, Saturday. It's Saturday morning, or close to afternoon. Alright, I'm just going to assemble a 395 that I just ported. This one's for Larry Peterson in Grosse Pointe, Minnesota, maybe? Yeah, MI is in the US? I think that's Minnesota. Anyways, done my porting. I'm just going to assemble it and just talk a little bit of history about 395s. Let me just get this over a little bit. There we go. So 395s are going to be phased out now. Maybe not in other countries that dirty the planet that are allowed to have the dirty saws still, which is totally backwards. Hey, think about that. You can still buy like a new 372 non-EPA or 288 or other saws in different countries, right? It just doesn't seem right, you know what I mean? Where we here, we got to run all the EPA, which is fine, you know. I want to see the earth be cleaner as well, but maybe you're attacking the wrong area. Industrial pollution is way more, right? So the 394, it served us great here for a lot of years. There's still lots around. I've been doing a few lately for some people that wanted them redone or modified up that were stock. And I'm going to do that video with Buckin when we look at his 25-year-old 394 that he bought off me brand new when he first went logging and he had his accident with. So yeah, we're going to get at that maybe after Christmas, or maybe before if he comes up for a cruise up to sunny Parksville here, which isn't very sunny today. Yesterday was a beautiful day. It was about 6 to 8 degrees, sunny, beautiful. Today, peeing down rain, and it's supposed to have some snow maybe in the lower mainland and some parts of the island today. Then rainy tomorrow, then back to a little bit of sun again for the next few days in the week. Anyways, I'm not a weatherman. Let's get talking about the saws, hey? That's what you want to hear. So 394s, yeah, great saws. They went through a few changes of different carburetors. The motor design never changed through the years that they first started from to the end. You know, they had the one carburetor where I showed you guys where the Walbro carburetor where the seat will actually move down in the carburetor, so it's harder for the fulcrum arm and needle to be raised because it's so far down now. So the symptoms of that was, you know, a 394 that was hard starting after it would run out of gas. Guys wouldn't get it going. They thought it was their coil and all that, but a lot of it was just in the carburetor. Me and my dad had modified the carburetors to work better. I would drill out one of the low speed holes and also drill the pulse hole bigger. Now we give it more of a pulse to try to make that needle release. It seemed to work on some of them, but eventually we'd either change the carburetor or they finally came out with a different series of carburetor. I don't have the numbers on me. I know everyone's going to ask. But it had the smaller needle in it. You know, the little tiny inlet needle instead of the bigger one, right? So that works better too. But then the years came where it was time for the EPA laws, and Husqvarna had started having to build some EPA saws to earn the global points in EPA, so they could sell some of their dirty ones. That's the way it worked. It works on a point system where you got to have so much of your machinery that you sell or manufacture that has to meet a criteria, and you're still allowed a few other ones. Well, that's slowly getting phased out as they're going to phase out the 395, 3120, and the 372, which won't be available here in our EPA law land. So when the 395 finally came out, as most of you know, if you are saw guys, you know, the change really was in the cylinder. Pistons pretty much were the same. They are the same. Went to a quad port transfer and a little bit different duration on the intake and exhaust. They went to a rubber boot or intake manifold, if you want to call it, and to a EPA carburetor. They first started off with the Tillotson carburetor, which was on them for quite a while. So that Tillotson carburetor, when they first came out with the 395 as well, we had some engineers come here to Canada. My good friend Magnus was the first one. He also helped me helped with the 372 development when it crossed over from a 371 to a 372. So when we first got the test models, the 395s, most of them were working pretty good, but we had some problems with idling, and you get them on the side and they wouldn't run right, you know. So we were trying to figure out some stuff, me and Magnus, of what we can do to change it. So we tried a bunch of stuff at our shop years ago, and this was around 25 years ago. Too bad I don't have a car. Oh, I got a carburetor right here, but it's not the same one, but you get the idea. So on that Tillotson carburetor, in the metering chamber, I know I have one of those carburetors around somewhere, but I don't at this second, okay? But I'm going to explain it to you. So on the Tillotson carburetor, they had a kind of a weird kind of feed hole in the idle circuit, and a bunch of these little valves in here. And I asked Magnus, well, what do you call those little valves? And he called them piss valves. He said they just piss a bunch of fuel, which goes the wrong way, and they don't run right, especially when they're on their side and everything. So we tried a bunch of different things with it. We tried actually moving the throttle. We ground the hole differently on the throttle plate, on the butterfly, and positioned it differently to the circuitry. And that seemed to help a little bit, but overall they still had their issues. So they did a few changes on that Tillotson carburetor, EPA one, where, you know, regular Tillotson carburetors like your old HS series, they're so basic. You just have two Walsh plugs, a low speed and a high speed, and your circuitry holes, your idle, mid-range, low, and your high, right? You didn't have any of these valves or acceleration pumps in them or anything, which caused problems after a while, especially with ethanol fuel. And dirt ingestion, of course, right? Something gets in there, right? So that finally they got them working better, the Tillotson carburetor, and that lasted on the 395 quite a while until they came out with the Walbro one. And the Walbro one's been changed a few times too. Okay, there's a few different Walbro ones that the 95s have on them. I don't know the exact numbers offhand right now, but you know, I'm sure I got them kicking around here to show you. Just not right this second. So that eventually fixed the 395 problem, and they've been really good lately. They did switch the factory to Brazil, which is no big deal. Husqvarna has great quality control. You know, there's been a few issues with a few things, like their oiler, the leaking oil on the new 395s, and where they leak from is the serial number badge. The rivets there, they leak right through the rivets. Where the original ones, they never had the hole all the way through in the oil pot, just enough hole to get that rivet in there. So you got to take those rivets out, put some JB weld on them, put them back together, and boom, you fixed your oil leak. You could probably do it under warranty, but I did tell the engineers when they were here about 6-8 months ago, I said, you know, you guys are trying to have EPA songs, but all the chain oil leaks out on the ground, so you're not really getting anywhere. Anyways, that's blabbing on. So the 395, yeah, so that's what the changes they went through from the 394 to the 395. Ignitions were all the same. Everything else was the same on them. Except for, like I said, the quad porting, the carburetor rubber boot, and the different carburetors that they went through. Also, the back carburetor here was suspended with rubber mounts, and that's a good idea because I believe that's why those 394 carburetors, the seat would move in them, because they're mounted solid to the cylinder with the phenolic spacer, or the intake block you want to call it, and they were mounted directly hard on the body. So the vibration in that thing was pushing that needle down. I pretty much guarantee you that's why that happened. So now, yeah, we don't have that problem on these. And also on these Walbro carburetors, these newer ones and the Tillotsons, they never had, well, the certain Walbros did, they never had a separate seat it was cast in the body like most two-stroke chainsaw carburetors, right? So we haven't had that issue. What else was the difference? Really, that was it. So the carburetors, the intake boot, the rubbers in the back. Yeah, that was it on the different changes for the 395. The 395 served us really good here on the coast. There's a few guys that still run them. I just fixed a couple for a buddy of mine that runs them. He's usually in big wood, so he kind of needs it, but he could probably get away with a 390. But some guys like the horsepower. So they're not going to be available now, so the only thing to buy now here in Canada for a big saw, if you're a Husky guy, you're going to be wanting to buy a 392 or the 385. The screw's giving me a bit of a problem here. What's wrong here? Loosen that one off. Don't want to strip this baby. Yeah, or, you know, in still, you're looking at the 661 or the 500 or the 462. You know, it's not a huge wood saw, big bar saw, but it sure is nice with around 32, right? I'm just going to chase this thread so I don't strip that bolt. I don't know why, it's got a little edge on it, I guess. Look at that, the tap goes right in. Oh, kind of stops though. Yeah. So the big saw market really is starting to dwindle in BC here as the government and forest companies are being a lot better about not cutting so much of the old growth down, which really they don't do much of it anymore anyways. Some of the second growth here, some people think it's old growth because it's so big. You got to think about it. Like this stuff, you know, it's farming here. It grows big, man. Even the regen, you know, if it's been planted or hasn't been planted, it comes back really well. On this 395, I'm not claiming that this is going to be the fastest 395 in the world, because I don't do them that way. I can make it a lot more exciting and faster, more powerful, but it's not going to be a good work saw. I port all my saws. People on YouTube like me, you watch some guys are doing some pretty fancy stuff to them. I keep it pretty basic and make them so they last and have decent power. I've been known to build saws where they last and they have decent enough power. You don't want to build something that blows up in a couple months and the customer gets pretty mad. They shouldn't. These things are built well and they should stay together well. You know, I do modifying of saws and rebuild of saws for work guys. I build some racing saws, but I do this for a living, so I don't have time to like do weird things like trying to put a 3120 cylinder on a 395 or try to put a 272 cylinder on a 61. That's all cool. You can do it all that if you want, if you have time and you have another job and you're, you know, or you're retired, or, you know, where you do it just at night or on weekends. For me, I you know, it's my living. I got to make a living at it. I'm not a rich guy. I probably never will be, but I'm comfortable. And that's all I need. Comfortable and happy. Okay? I got lots to do right now. I'm going to do this, finish this one off, and then get on to a couple 592s. Then Christmas is coming. I'm supposed to go out and get a tree today and get some lights up. Neighbor across the street put his lights up, my friend Ed. I said, Ed, you've wrecked it now, man. My wife's going to come home now and go, Donny, get them Christmas lights up. So, yeah, I got to do that. Okay, so this baby's back together. I just got to put the modded muffler on it that I'll put 2 pipes on. I already got them pre-made at Walker's, so I'll just switch the muffler when I get there, and then we'll run it in and get it sent out to the customer. I believe he wants full wrap handlebars, so he'll get the full wrap handlebars and the bigger felling spikes. These are more bucking spikes, not felling spikes. Bucking spikes are more angled straight this way, and felling spikes angled down a tad. Some people don't understand that, but that's the way it is. What else really goes wrong with a 395? You know, like I say, 394s and 395s have been great saws. You know, you might get a few mounts break once in a while. They got the spring mounts, the two in the back, the one in the cylinder, one in front here. It's usually the back ones. If they do break, those are the ones that normally break. But not that often. They're pretty tough, you know, and guys tug the crap out of them, right? Yeah, that's all that really goes wrong with them, you know. Like, you get some... Oh, Husqvarna switches, they've been the worst ever in the world, eh? Like, some might last 2 years, some might last 2 months. Their wires, too, some of them are terrible. So if your switch isn't working, check, like, your blue wire, pull on it, see if it's spongy. If it's spongy, you know it's not connecting right. Sometimes the ground wire, this black one that goes to the case here, you know, give it a little tighten, move it around a bit so it grounds good. And that's usually the switch problem. So the switch problem is either normally a wire or the switch itself. So that's a good spare part to have if you're going into a logging camp or whatever you're doing with it. You might need it. These also have changed on their your carb adjusting tool. The Poulan Weed Eater Husqvarna type one like that with the internal threading or spline. That'll fit all like Poulans and Huskies and Weed Eaters and some John threads. Now this new one here, this will fit some of the new 372s have changed, 395s and the 585. So this new spline one's just slightly different, and I just discovered that a couple months ago. So I got all the different ones now. I got a whole drawer full here of darn tuning type stuff, Echo, Shindawas, Stills, Husky, every different one that they've made. Or if it's just a regular carburetor, just a good old flat blade screwdriver. That's what everyone wants, right? Okay, that baby is back together. I'm just going to put the muffler on loosely and the filter back on. Fellow was asking me after I was talking about ignition coils the other day. The part number for the black Husqvarna coil that's non-rev limiter is 544047001. Okay, that's used on a lot of the small 300 series saws. Sometimes those ones have a different part number because mostly the part number is different, possibly just for maybe the length of the spark plug lead, or they've done an upgrade of that coil from a different manufacturer, so it's a different part number. But right now, that's the one you'd order from Husqvarna that you can put on 390s, 372 X torque, 365 X torque, and older models if they have the blue rev limiter ignition, right? Okay, so that's the old part number. Anyways, I keep it right up on this screw here, so that way I remember the part number, and if anyone asks, it's right there. Alrighty, so let's finish bolting this back up. There's nothing really else to see here. So yeah, it's too bad these aren't going to be around anymore, but if you can get them at your local dealer now, go in and grab one. Some people might have old stock and some still sitting around. We don't have any left. We don't have, I don't think, any we might have some 372s left. You have to, if you guys want to check if we have any of the old 372s, X Torques, and 395s, just email Johnny at Walker Saw Shop. I do know he has quite a few 390s. He was going to actually order them all that the distributor had, but he decided to give some other dealers a break and not hoard them all. We do, I think he's got maybe about 60. He might not have that many left soon once people figure out we have them all, especially the local loggers that love them. So yeah, check that out. What else? Someone asked me there. Oh jeez. Oh, someone was asking me online earlier, what's the coil gap? Well, I have a setting tool here. There's a Still one, and I also have a Husqvarna one that's like a plastic gauge here somewhere. I use this one all the time. I do it all. It's roughly around 12 thousandths, 11 maybe. Let's have a measure. Or a business card, man. A thin business card, 20 millimeters. Okay, well, for those that are metric, All right, let's go inches. Oh, yeah, a little wrong here. About 8 thou. 8 thou, so let's go 8 thou. Yeah, maybe not quite 8. Come on, let's zero this baby up. Okay, 9 thou. Let's convert that to metric. 0.24. Oh, right on this gauge it says 0.2 millimeter. Huh. Anyways, whatever. You got to have gap. It's around that, okay? There you go. Let's see. Not much else to tell about these, man. They've just been a good era of saws. And like I say, if you want to try to find one still, check out your local dealer, see if they got any old stock. Or if maybe they can still get it from the distributor in the US. If they have some left. See how it goes, right? Anyways, there you go. I've talked enough about that today. We've kind of talked over these ones before. What else was that? I had something written down here someone wanted to know. Oh, no, the coil thing. And yeah, just talking about these. Anyways, get back to putting this together for Larry Peterson. And have yourself a great weekend. Saturday Night Fever. Saturday Night Live tonight. Go out and have some fun. Get your Christmas lights up, your Christmas tree. If you're into Christmas. If not, whatever. Go out and have a nice day. Today you'll need a poncho outside because it's peeing down rain. And maybe some snowshoes later. And then it's supposed to change again. It's like the weather's been really weird here lately. Okay. Yesterday I was in a t-shirt, did that video. And then today I'm, obviously got my heater cranked, my clothes on. Any questions on this stuff? Give me a shout. I know you will. Keep your saw on the wood, stick your knife, rubbing her out. Stay dry. Be kind to everyone. Have a great day. Bye now.